Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Future Leaders in Quantum Hackathon. Wherever you are in the world right now, whether you're dialing in as students, researchers, creatives, technologists, educators, or newcomers, we're so glad you're here. My name is Sierra Shukair. I'm a quantum journalist and analyst at the Quantum Insider. I'm the founder of Universum Labs, and today I have the honor of being here with you today as we launch this global event. So by definition, quantum might deal with the very small, but this weekend is much bigger than that. We're here to collaborate, to create, and to make quantum technology a little more real together. We're bringing together a bold global community of thinkers, doers, artists, educators, and dreamers to build what comes next. And while we're doing this, it's important to remember that scientific developments alone don't change the world. The people that leverage them do. If we want quantum to be leveraged on a scale that serves humanity, it needs to be shaped by the defining human elements of diversity, creativity, and curiosity. The Future Leaders in Quantum Hackathon was built around that belief. You'll have the opportunity to work within one of four distinct tracks: science, education, innovation, or art. That means you could be writing code, storytelling, or strategizing. There's no barrier to entry, no prior experience required. If you're here and you have an idea, then you're ready. Select prize winners will have the opportunity to present their projects at the AI for Good Global Summit in Geneva. This is particularly exciting because this is the inaugural year of the Quantum for Good track, which will be held alongside AI for Good. I look forward to seeing all selected presentations in person. If at any time you feel stuck or need more inspiration, the pre-flick workshops covered Quantum 101, creative applications, teaching strategies, entrepreneurship, and storytelling. These are great resources to return to. And a quick, very important reminder that this weekend is about experimentation, exploration, and community. You don't need to get it perfect, you just need to be involved. So on the agenda today, we'll hear a few welcoming words from our hosts, the International Telecommunication Union and the Quantum Coalition. Then we'll be joined by Martin Roteller, the Senior Director at IonQ, for our keynote address. After that, you'll hear short intros from the curators of each challenge, and we'll count down to the launch of the hackathon. Before we get started, I'd love to take the time to thank the partners and sponsors who made this event possible. So the International Telecommunication Union and the Quantum Coalition brought the vision, commitment, and infrastructure required to lead this effort. The hackathon will be powered by IonQ and the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology. Challenge curators we'll hear from today include Classic, IBM, ID Quantique, IonQ, Moth Quantum, and the United Nations International Computing Center. And before we move forward, I'd love to take a moment to explain why the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology is so significant. So this is a year designated by the United Nations as a global initiative to celebrate quantum developments, expand accessibility to quantum education, and explore how this field can continue to serve humanity. The goal of IYQ overall is simple but powerful. It's to recognize that quantum science isn't just abstract physics. Yes, it does have that, but it's also about people, policy, innovation, and possibility. It's about making sure that as the technology evolves, everyone has the opportunity to engage, contribute, and shape it. And there's another reason this year matters. You might have noticed in the video. This is also 100 years since the formal birth of quantum mechanics. So a century ago, you can imagine that scientists like Schrödinger, Heisenberg, and Dirac were puzzling over equations on chalkboards, debating uncertainty, and trying to redefine what we thought about the nature of reality. Just imagine what it felt like to be in those rooms, to not just study the future, but to build it. And that's really what this hackathon represents. This is your moment to be in the room, to take part in a live global effort and shape the next century of quantum science, not just through theory, but through action. So as we kick off today, remember that you are not on the sidelines of history, you're inside it. and this is a great way to learn more about quantum science and technology. So that being said, I'd love to kick this over to the representative from ITU. Seizo Ono.
Okay, thank you. I'm Seizo Ono from the ITU Telecommunication Standards Bureau. Dear participants, colleagues, and future leaders, greetings from Geneva. On behalf of International Telecommunication Union, in collaboration with the Quantum Coalition, it is a great pleasure to welcome you all to the Future Leaders in Quantum Hackathon, a dynamic and inspiring event organized under the umbrella of Quantum for Good as part of ITU's contribution to the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology 2025. This year is especially meaningful for all of us at ITU, as we are also celebrating the 160th anniversary of the International Telecommunication Union tomorrow, 17th May 2025. Over the past 16 decades, ITU has stood at the forefront of innovation, connecting the world, setting global standards, and supporting the development and responsible use of cutting-edge technologies. Quantum science now stands as one of the most promising frontiers in this journey. It offers a profound potential to reshape computing, communications, security, and even our understanding of the universe itself. This hackathon is not only a celebration of the technological exploration, but also a catalyst for purpose-driven innovation. It brings together diverse, talented minds to tackle real-world challenges using quantum technologies, not just for advancement, but for impact. This is what Quantum for Good is all about, ensuring that the extraordinary capabilities of quantum science are harnessed in ways that drive a positive change for humanity. The hackathon brings together students, mentors, and industry leaders from across the world to collaborate, compete, and create real-world quantum solutions. Whether you are a technical problem solver, an aspiring quantum entrepreneur, or a creative storyteller, it is designed to be accessible, inclusive, and impactful, helping you take your first or next step into the quantum world. The hackathon will run virtually from 16th to 18th May 2025 and primarily targets students, early career professionals, and pre-university students aged 16 and above with an interest in quantum science and technology. A prize pool of 10,000 Swiss francs will be awarded, including the opportunity to be featured as a part of the Quantum for Good track at the AI for Good Global Summit, which will take place in Geneva from 8th to 11th July 2025. This will be a key moment for the global community to explore how the convergence of AI and quantum technologies can support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and create inclusive, transformative solutions for a shared future. I encourage you all to engage fully in this hackathon. Ask, hold questions, collaborate across disciplines, think globally, and above all, let your passion for discovery and impact uh, shine through everything you do. On behalf of IQ, I thank you for being here and for your commitment to shaping the future through innovation, integrity, and a shaped sense of purpose. I wish you every success during this hackathon, and I look forward to seeing many of you again at the Quantum for Good track in July. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Seizo, for that presentation. Up next, we have Dimitri, the president of the Quantum Coalition.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Future Leaders in Quantum Hackathon. I'm Dimitri, president of Quantum Coalition, which is a global network of undergraduate quantum computing clubs working to connect, educate, and empower the next generation of quantum scientists and engineers. It's incredibly exciting to see so many of you here today, representing dozens of countries and institutions from around the world. Whether you're a first-time hacker or already deep into quantum research, you're a part of something special this weekend. Fleet came to life through a partnership between Quantum Coalition and the International Telecommunication Union. We began developing the event at the start of 2025 with a simple goal: create a truly global space for exploring the applications of quantum technologies across different areas. This gave rise to the 4 challenge tracks: science, education, innovation, and art. Since then, we've built an amazing pre-hackathon workshop series covering topics from quantum sensing to entrepreneurship. We've had incredible speakers, and I want to thank all the students, moderators, and club leaders who made these sessions run smoothly, often at odd hours across different time zones. One of the things I'm especially proud of is the collaboration between students and industry partners in designing the hackathon challenges. Together, we've created meaningful hands-on problems that reflect real-world quantum applications. I think that's a great example of what this field needs more of: direct conversation between students and professionals, the future workforce, and those helping shape it today. So over the next few days, I encourage you to explore, build, and connect. Try out new tools, reach out to mentors, and don't be afraid to get a little lost in the process. That's where the best ideas often begin. Thank you all for being here. Let's make Flick something unique. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dimitri. Next, we will move on to our keynote address. We are joined by Martin Roteller. He's a Senior Director of Quantum Solutions at IonQ. Thank you for being here, Martin.
Sure thing, and thank you for having me. And I wanted to extend a super warm welcome to all the participants and organizers of the challenges. Super warm welcome from IonQ. I'm joined by Vardim Karpusenko, who is one of my colleagues at IonQ, who organizes a lot of these hackathons. We've been at the MIT hack earlier this year. We work with SKKU and many other hacks. Personally, about me, I lead the applications team at IonQ. We work very closely with customers and we develop applications. Let me just begin by saying that quantum is really now. This is the time for quantum computing. We're seeing at IonQ demand from customers on applications such as healthcare and life sciences. We work very closely with drug companies such as AstraZeneca. We're seeing use cases also in the physics simulation field, computer-aided engineering. Think about finite element methods to model physical objects, digital twins. There are use cases, and I have a flavor of that later in this deck that I can show you. And also, finally, we're seeing use cases in the confluence between quantum and AI, which is a super exciting field. I'm also going to give you a flavor of what's happening in that space. So lots of excitement, a lot of technology developments, a lot of innovations. So it's really the time is now to start working in this field. And I just wanted to give you also an overview. There are many modalities of quantum computing technologies. At IonQ, we're focusing on so-called ion traps. What excited me personally, that's the main reason why I joined IonQ, is that we have a very strong engineering effort. We are basically building machines and then we're shipping them. And we have very good qubits. Ions, it's the so-called hyperfine structure of these ions that we use to encode our data. Our flagship product is called Forte Enterprise. It has up to 36 ions that you can program, and we're going to kind of scale up to larger systems very soon. So this is kind of what motivated me. I've been in the industry for a long time. I started working in quantum computing in '95 when I was an undergrad, and then worked for various companies such as NEC for 9 years, Microsoft 11 years, and IonQ for about a year now. And it's really like amazing to see over that long time span how quantum computing started like out as this kind of academic exercise and then morphed into like an industry scale effort across all these industries. And now we have like commercial products in that space. There's a lot of excitement around exploring what applications can already benefit from quantum computing today. Plus, there is the future, which is fault-tolerant quantum computing, which is also you're beginning to see the first signs of fault tolerance. IonQ has a roadmap for fault tolerance as well. And this is just amazing. As a worker in that industry, we're a publicly traded company. It's also just like crazy how fast things are evolving. I'm using AI like daily. Like I just couldn't do it in any other way. So I'm using like all kinds of like LLMs and other things just to help me do some of my work. And just want to give you a flavor of what we do at IonQ. Um, this is a use case where we partner with Ansys. Ansys is a company that specializes in computer-aided engineering, finite element methods, but many other types of simulations. So we partnered with them about a year ago, started working with them on finite element solvers. And it turned out that the bottleneck in these solvers for very large meshes is really a combinatorial optimization problem. You see it there in this cartoon. There's a graph, right? You model your big mesh as a graph. You want to find an optimal partitioner of that graph so you can decompose your model. You do that recursively. So eventually you put the entire simulation on a GPU cluster. But the reordering of the equations is really a very big bottleneck. So we tackled that. We formulated the reordering problem as a graph partitioning problem, formulated as a quantum solution. And then we ran this on our devices. And what you see in the plot down there is the performance as we scale up the coarsening to more and more qubits. Right now we're about 30, but we already internally we have all these test bed systems. We're scaling now to larger sizes. But we're already now seeing improvements over the production workflow in certain kind of metrics, figures of metrics that the tool provides, but we also measure wall clock times and see improvements. It's very exciting because that happens at scale, very large inputs, and the quantum computer already makes an impact on this workflow. Second example I wanted to show is also very recent work where we took an LLM. We took a BERT variant. It's called SetFit. It's really made to study fine tuning. And we just like did a very simple thing, kind of stripped away the last layers of that base model and replaced it by a quantum machine learning model. And we trained that model, a quantum machine learning model. The base model was a token prediction model. We wanted to train it for a new task, right? It's not token prediction anymore. It was a sentiment prediction task based on a very small data set for training, something like 256 examples for training. And the model was also very small. But what we're seeing, and that's the plot down there, is that that model beats kind of classical standard techniques such as logistic regression or support vector classifiers. It beats it right off the bat, and it shows good performance. We need to fine tune the hyperparameters better. That's why you see a little bit of a dip here. but kind of we have not explored at all, like to increase the qubit number together with the layers, together with the re-uploading learning rate. There's so many hyperparameters that we're exploring right now, but we're already seeing improvements. And that's super exciting for us to see because again, that is a real world workflow. You have an LLM. It works at scale. It could be used with literally any other foundation AI model, not restricted to NLP. It could be a property prediction foundation AI model for materials. It could be biology. It could predict binding and so on. So we have now an amazing technology that we're trying to prove out in the following years. And then if you're around me, you will probably notice very quickly that my passion is really talking about these workflows. So I want to break it down for you. So this figure on the left is a funnel that illustrate or tries to illustrate that kind of that narrowing from ideas. Like there's many ideas around algorithms. If you use the archive.org, which is where many papers get posted, every day there are about 50 papers, 50 new papers. And it's just an amazing collective effort to produce new ideas. I would say it's fair to say that most of these algorithms, while they're exciting and they study like complexity and lower bounds and whatnot, only few of them actually address things that could be used commercially. Okay, so for that, I would say let's call that an application when you have an algorithm, but also you have a use case. Typically, it will involve something bigger than just the core mathematical idea. And so that is still not enough. If you're looking for commercial impact of your technology, you must understand what customers actually do. Customers, that's the world, right? Those are like companies, enterprises, the government who use their classical, they have their existing classical solutions for their computational problems. They're usually very complex. Think about that finite element workflow you just saw, or the LLM workflow as examples. So as to make impact, you have to figure out ways to plug into these big workflows. So it's one of my passion is really understanding these interfaces, these kind of connections, because ultimately the price would be to find workflows that can be put in a production system where there are like a million other requirements. In production, you have to have not just performance, you also have like availability of SLAs and SLOs, security requirements, and so on. But that is going to be where the real value will be ultimately. And then this slide it's getting a little bit more technical, but I wanted to give you also an idea of what the core technology is. So with ORNRL, that's Oak Ridge National Labs in the US, who really pioneered a specific way to tackle Kubo problems. So Kubos are a specific class of optimization problem. We teamed up with them to prove out the so-called variational quantum imaginary time evolution algorithm on our quantum devices. And what you see in the plot is the performance of this specific application on our ARIA system. And the application was so-called MaxCut. So you get a combinatorial optimization problem. And we formulated it, and you see the overall approximation ratio. What's plotted is 1 minus the approximation ratio, so lower is better. The dashed line shows you how quickly the optimum was found. So for large problems, you don't expect to find the optimum, but you're happy if you find something near optimal. And this gives you the total energy. So the lower, the better. And it means that you find very good solutions. So this idea has been used already in graph partitioning. That's the work with ANSYS. We use it for many other applications as well, from job shop scheduling to MaxCut to some physics problems and transportation problems and so on. And yeah, so this is what it looks like at the core, right? If you're interested in what the math looks like, imaginary time evolution basically helps you project onto low energy states. In the limit, if everything was noise-free and perfect, you could even prove that the final state when you take the limit is the ground state, which is the best solution you can hope for. We have ways to formulate that with equations of motion. It's a hybrid algorithm that combines quantum computations and classical computations, which is also very common in the field to use these hybrid methods. And then finally, I wanted to say, and that connects it back to Flick, where you guys are going to tackle art and innovation and science and education, which is super exciting. I cannot wait to hear how this hackathon goes and what you guys are going to do. But I really wanted to make the point that the industry is growing so fast So there is an urgent need for skills. We really need it, and it's across the board. It's on the application side, it's on the technology side. So we use a lot of laser technology and ion trapping technology. So there's a shortage of people both on the application side and in that field, and the same holds true for all the other modalities. So it's a really great time to enter this field and bring in your talent and your energy. I also wanted to make the point that it's not just computing, actually. There's also networking and sensing, and all of these are growing fields. And just wanted to throw out, like, it's really the great time, really great time to join the workforce. That's all from me. Really excited about this event, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Martin. I especially really loved your workflow slide personally. I think that will be incredibly useful for anyone doing the innovation track.
Great.
Next, we'll start to hear from the challenge curators about the challenges. So up first, we have for the science track, max cut, ground state at minimal cost. So that will be Vadim from IonQ as well.
Hello. Very nice to see everyone here, and it's exactly what Martin was talking about. So MaxCut, we use it for our clients, but we also will have a chance to play with the solver and the MaxCut problem itself during this competition. If you've been to MIT Challenge, which happened this January, it's kind of continuation and extension of that challenge. So yes, it is the same MaxCut problem, but we significantly modified the scoring function. So to avoid some of the classical solutions presented as a quantum one. So hopefully, if you had a chance to play around with the challenge during MIT as the remote challenge, IQ remote challenge, you will have chances to explore more quantum solutions in this case. And also we implemented autograder. So everything, instead of just us looking at the code, will be automated. So you can simply play around with the code, experiment, figure out the way how to build new results, express the Hamiltonians, right? And then use Varkite. Also, you have the opportunity to even play around with the Varkite implementation. Right, so you can read the white paper, figure out or learn how it works, and then maybe come up with an interesting way how to improve it even more. Right, and then automatically submit it to our autograder server, which will evaluate, run this code, and then produce the final score. So I think it's very interesting. It's very close to real life. It's what we're using pretty much on day-to-day basis with our clients. So I hope you will learn a lot if you will just follow the notebooks, and you will also make your hands dirty by experimenting with the code and find the real life solutions. Thanks so much. Good luck.
Thank you, Vadim. Next, we have also on the science track, classifying quantum phases of matter, and Dimitri will be presenting that challenge for us.
Welcome again to Flick, everyone. I'm excited to introduce the second challenge of the science track, where you'll use quantum machine learning to classify phases of matter. It has been shown that this task can be done using classical machine learning based on the so-called classical shadow representation of quantum as a training data. Your goal is to design, train, and test a parameterized quantum circuit in Classic to distinguish between two quantum phases of atoms. We'll provide you with measurement data, 51 qubit chain of atoms, which you will convert into classical shadows and then use for training. You'll find useful resources in the GitHub repository, which will be made public after this opening ceremony. I hope you'll experiment with the converting data from measurement to classical shadows and then try different ansatz for your quantum circuit. I think you'll have a lot of fun with this challenge. Yeah. Welcome to Flick.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Thank you.
Up next, also on, or actually the next track will be the innovation track. And so the next challenge is AI with hybrid intelligence. And we have Luke joining us to tell us about that challenge.
Hello, everybody. I'm Luke with Case Western, and our challenge is enhancing AI and ML with variational quantum algorithms. So we'll also be providing a GitHub with the information that you guys need, including data sets, some starter code, although I highly encourage you guys to write your own code, innovate, and as well as some resources to get you guys started. And if you have any questions, let me know. Good luck.
Thank you, Luke. Next, for the innovation track, we have Beyond the Seed, Randomness Refined, and Florian from ID Quantique will tell us more about that challenge.
Hello, everybody. Hope connectivity is good. Yes. Hi, I'm Florian from ID Quantique. It's about random numbers. This is something which is somewhere everywhere, but it's also very hidden. It's something very simple, but also very complex. You need random numbers when you're doing simulations in science and research, engineering. You need it for gaming and gambling, and you need it for security because secrets come from unexpected randomness. And the concept is simple. You want something that is random, but it's very difficult to create a true random number. So there are pseudo-random number generators based on software. If you know the code, if you know the initial parameters, then it's pseudo. It's not really random. It looks like random, but it's not if you know the boundary conditions. And the first task of this challenge is to play a bit with this and to see what is a good pseudo-random number generator or a bad one. You will be surprised, that things that look random are not. But there are also good ways of creating pseudo-random numbers. But then for this, you need a good seed. A seed is then something that is a true entropic source. And for this, you need physics. It cannot come from software, which is always deterministic. And the physics, classical physics is also deterministic. You can create or you can use classic random sources, but then the challenge is that this is nothing that you really control. And from an engineering point of view, from an industrial point of view, when you want to do also mass production of random number generators, this is also challenging because on the one hand, you don't want to control the source to get something random out of it, but at the same time, if you don't control it, you cannot really monitor it. You don't really know what's happening. This is somehow a contradiction. And quantum resolves this contradiction. You can build a quantum entropy source which is maximally controlled, and still you get something surprising out of it because of the laws of quantum physics. So the challenge has 4 tasks. The first I mentioned, it's the first 3 are you discover these 3 concepts: pseudo-randomness, true randomness based on classical sources, and then the third one is playing with a real random number generator, which is offered as a remote service from IDQ. So we have the random number generators here in Geneva, and via API calls you can access them, and you can see the difference between the 3 categories and explore them. And then the fourth task of this challenge, this is really the innovative part where you can get wild and really find quantum advantage for random number applications. So we will later share the GitHub link with all the details and the challenge, and also examples for the code to get you started. Thank you.
Thank you, Florian. Before we move on to the next track, we'd like to ask the audience if they have any questions, if they'd like to start giving a thought to any questions they might like to ask. We'd love to take some time at the end of the challenge presentations to answer those questions. So if you do have any, just be sure to throw them in the chat and we'll review those as they come in. Up next, we're going to move on to the education track, which is implementing quantum experiments and algorithms. And joining us to talk about that challenge is Marcel from IBM.
Hi everyone, great to be here and present the challenge. So I'm actually presenting two challenges because we are having two different educational challenges. They have some similarities, but I want now to really highlight the differences they have. So in both challenges, you were meant to create a so-called lab or kind of an exercise set for people to learn about quantum computing or quantum experiments. And the idea is that people often learn better when they actually can do things actively, so that you can create exercises and people solve these exercises and have some way to check if the exercise is correct. So what you should provide are so-called Jupyter Labs files, which include code which can test if the exercises are correct, as well as several exercises, if possible, which lead to one big final exercise about a specific topic. This is the same in both of these challenges. Now, what is different is the focus. One of these challenges is really meant for targeting high school students, so people above age of 16, roughly, so maybe the same age as you are, who are not yet studying at the university, who want to learn about some famous quantum experiments, for example, the Doppelspalt experiment or some Bell inequalities and so on. There are a lot of them, and what is really nice today is that you can actually do them not only in a lab, but from home with really quantum computers over the cloud. And that's the idea, that you teach people how to recreate these kind of famous experiments on the cloud, on IBM quantum computers with free access everyone can get. That's one of them. And there it really should be teaching to 16 to 18-year-old students, so that content should be easy to digest. And this is also quite nice for younger people too, because you're closer to this target audience. Maybe it's easier for you to make material which is easy to understand. And the other challenge would be to take quantum algorithms, so a bit more advanced stuff, and present them at the kind of university level for students. So, for example, you could do old famous ones like Shor's algorithm, but of course also newer ones like VP or SQD, and some you're more or less free what to choose from, and explain these in detail. But again, it should not be just explanation, but there should be several sets of exercises or several exercises which can be checked if the solution is correct, which helps people to really learn. And what is special here is that we can provide to good solutions or to good submissions the opportunity to present them to a bigger audience this year in summer, which will be more announced in detail later. But there will be a summer school about quantum computing where we partake it. And if you want, you can present the challenges you create also there to people to see what they say to them or how they use them to learn. So that's the two educational challenges from my side.
Thank you so much, Marcel. Up next, we have the art track, and joining us to talk about the art challenges is Daniel from Moth Quantum.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Perfect. So, pleasure to meet you all. I'm happy that you're making the time over this weekend to join in our hackathon. And so the art challenge is a bit different from the others, but I think it might be a lot of fun and will expose you to a lot of even fairly complex parts of quantum computing. So we have two tracks because with one, we want you to use the quantum technology that we have. Some software is available on the GitHub that you can use to make some interesting effects. You can encode images onto the quantum computer and process the state and then read it out. And we want you to use that in a larger artistic work. You can work with audio, you can work with images, or you can do something even more ambitious. While the second track is a bit more technical. We have these encoding algorithms that are the same that are used for track 1, but here we want you to be able to write some software that allows you to run 2 algorithms simultaneously, right? One will be the image encoding, and the second algorithm can be anything else you want. And we want you to connect that with the image encoding to modify it either as the encoding is happening or after the encoding. This is, of course, you do it as you want. And this might show some really interesting effects. So you can imagine putting an image of a river and then running the VQE for water on some of the, solve for the water molecule on some of the other qubits and have them interact in some way, or even the circuit to encode one image and the circuit to encode another image, and then you entangle the images. And the point would be to make a piece of code that accepts these things and outputs some interesting output. Probably be quite avant-garde, but I think that that's part of the fun. So I hope you'll have a lot of fun with it, and I'm available to answer any questions throughout the hackathon time.
Thank you so much, Daniel. So a quick reminder for all those who will be participating in the hackathon, all challenge materials will be live on Discord and online after the ceremony. You'll have a rather extended 40-hour hacking window timed so that everyone across the globe can participate, and it doesn't go into the work week, so you have the time and space to make something meaningful. Before we end, I'd love for each of the presenters of the challenges to end with a word of wisdom for our hackers as they're going into this weekend. So whoever would like to share first. Or rather, we can also go through the presentation
I
list.
guess I can go then. Everyone, I really, really would like to enjoy that time. Please communicate with each other, learn from each other. Don't hesitate to, if you have any questions, there's no such thing as stupid questions. So ask all the questions you have. Even if it's something basic and you just trying to understand something, shout it. Shout it in the Discord channel, somebody gonna help you. We have tons of really amazing mentors. So we are here to help you. Please go ahead, enjoy yourself, code as much as you can, and have fun. Have a good one.
Thank you, Vadim. I'm personally inspired, so awesome. And then Martin, would you like to leave our hackers with any words of wisdom?
Sure thing. The usual statement would be do epic s ... I would say do epic stuff and enjoy your time in the hackathon. It's great meeting you all too.
Thank you, Martin. Dimitri, do you have words of wisdom for our hackers?
Sure. Yeah, just don't be afraid to reach out to the mentors from Classic and also to me. There is a Slack channel which is very helpful. Like you can browse there and like for the answers there as well. And also there is a lot of good documentation. And yeah, we'll try to stay online most of the time to just help you. There are a lot of places you can get lost in, I feel like, but we don't want you to like sit there alone and debug one thing for like a lot of hours. We just want you to like have a good time and learn some new physics.
Thank you, Dimitri. Luke, do you have words of wisdom for our hackers?
Yeah. So it's already been said, but again, ask for help. If you have a problem, chances are someone else has that problem. So it's good to share issues, talk about it. I might not even have to be the one to help you because chances are someone else has that problem and has already fixed it. So please be active in the Discord or the Slack or wherever, and I'll try my best to help you out. And be innovative. Of course, I'm on the innovation track, so I'm going to tell you that. But try and do something new. Don't just fly through the challenge.
Awesome. Thank you, Luke. Florian, do you have words of wisdom for our hackers?
Well, in addition to what has been said, I think randomness is a great thing to start with when it comes to quantum, because it's the most fundamental difference to our classical world. And it's a very philosophical topic, but down-to-earth problems, we're here to help. Our team is here for technical questions. We left our phone numbers, and yeah, please contact us in case you have questions.
Thank you, Florian. Daniel or Marcel, would either of you like to add some words of wisdom?
Yes, of course, maybe a bit. For me, I think the most important part, also because we're doing the education track, is that you people learn something. So try to tackle a new challenge, try to learn a topic by teaching it to others. And also for the other tracks, I think it's most important that you use this opportunity to learn yourself new things, challenge yourself, and of course have fun, then you learn more. But see it as a learning opportunity. If something doesn't work, try it again, and just use the opportunity to try things you would else not have the opportunity to. And yeah, and good luck, everyone.
Thank you, Marcel. I actually really love that. Whether it works or doesn't work, you've learned something. And then, Daniel, would you like to add any words of wisdom for our hackers before they go on?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just like everybody, it's really just to have fun for the most part, right? When I was a student, I participated in a lot of hackathons. You learn a lot. Sometimes things don't work. They can be a bit frustrating, or you might like end up working, 13-hour, 15-hour days for a couple of days because you really get into it. So, if you have the time, try and just really get into the mood and do it. And I think you can only come out of it richer and more experienced. So yeah, don't take it too seriously, but with lightheartedness. I think that's the most important part.
Thank you, Daniel. And then we also have the Vice President of the Quantum Coalition, Thomas Verrill. Would you be able to provide some words of wisdom for our hackers, as well as the logistical information about the hackathon? So how it will work, end time, where to find the challenge information, etc.
Yeah, of course. Sorry. Yeah, everyone has said so much good wisdom. I will also say, yeah, don't be afraid to really figure things out before asking. I know people have been saying we'll also always be available to help, but part of learning is really figuring out how things work. So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to dive in, and we'll definitely see it and appreciate it. As for the hackathon, yeah, everything will be available on Discord in terms of information. The submission deadline, I believe, is also there, and we will be present giving information throughout the entire hackathon. It'll be a 40-hour hacking period, like we said. And yeah, challenges are currently released, I believe. So good luck to everyone, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Thomas. So a lot of great advice to take with you into the weekend. And we're getting close to the official starting time. Let's see if we have any questions. Okay. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any questions. So before we leave, I'd love to just leave you with a final thought, and then we'll get started. So if there's one truth that I feel that all of us who work in science, entrepreneurship, business, art, etc., there's one really core lesson, and that's that we don't always learn by reading or sitting in a classroom or looking into theory. These things are important, but we learn more when we're doing. And so don't think of this hackathon as a simulation or a study session. This is a real opportunity to build something, to test something, to try something, even if you're unsure how it will turn out. That's where you'll find real comprehension. And so I love to return to someone that I look up to in moments like this. Dan Golden is a former NASA administrator and a visionary behind many boundary-breaking missions. And he once said that we need to stop thinking in terms of risk and start thinking in terms of opportunity. So he believed that action creates clarity. You don't need to know everything before you try. In fact, it's the trying that often leads to the clarity. And so this weekend, you have the opportunity to try, to prototype, to create something that didn't exist before, and to prove to yourself that you can move from understanding a concept to making it real. So we often talk a lot in quantum about potential. We talk about potential energy, potential states, the potential of quantum in the future. But the secret behind potential is that it doesn't actually mean anything without action. We need the kinetic energy. So Flick is your opportunity to be kinetic and to try something that you've always really wanted to go for. So with that being said, we are officially launching the hackathon. It's been so great to be here with you today at the start of this, and I look forward to seeing everything that comes out. So go make something unforgettable. Good luck. We'll see you in Discord. The challenge info will be available there, as well as your mentors.